This is Matthew Cercely, the Agorist tax advisor. I've gotten several questions from people on my email list recently about giving Bitcoin to charity. So backing up to first principle, if you don't know this, there can be some significant tax advantages to giving an appreciated asset to charity instead of cash. Let's say you want to give $10,000 to your church. Well, you could give them $10,000 cash, but let's say you have some stock that you bought for $5,000 that's worth $10,000 now. If you give that $10,000 value of stock, you get a $10,000 deduction on your taxes if you don't take the standard deduction. But you don't have to sell it to take that $5,000 in capital gains. So there are some very significant advantages to giving those appreciated assets to a charity as a charitable deduction. But there are some rules you have to follow. The first is that for most property, if you give more than $5,000 to any individual charity, you have to get a certified appraiser to give an appraisal of the value of the property. And there are not a whole lot of people who qualify as appraisers for this. You can't just, find some guy down the street to do an appraisal. They've got to have a very particular certification. There's a few thousand of them in the country, but they're not very common. Now, one of the nice exceptions to this rule is this does not apply to securities. So that stock example I gave you before, you can give any amount of stock at any value, and you just use the market price on the day that you gave it. And you can take a deduction for that full amount of the value of the stock without, again, claiming any capital gains for selling it because you didn't sell it. Unfortunately, a lot of people get in trouble because they analogize and they say, well, if this is how it works for Microsoft, or if this is how it works for my S&P 500 ETF, this must also be how it works for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is currently not a security. This exemption does not apply. So if you want to give more than $5,000 of Bitcoin, whether it's appreciated or not, but just flat out more than $5,000 of Bitcoin, because it is property, you have to go get an appraisal on the value of the Bitcoin. This is a stupid regulation. Pretty much everybody acknowledges it's a stupid regulation, but it's the way the world works. So if you want to give appreciated Bitcoin to a charity, you need to go get an appraisal. Now, of course, the funny thing is, if you have a Bitcoin ETF, ETFs are securities, so you can give the appreciated Bitcoin ETF to your church and no appraisal is necessary, but you can't do it with Bitcoin. It's almost like somebody up there doesn't want you to hold Bitcoin yourself. They want you to hold it in the financial institution. But overall, this can be a fantastic way to give money to charity and avoid those capital gains on the appreciation of an item. Can be particularly good if you're somebody who got lucky enough to get into Bitcoin at, maybe the $1,000 to $5,000 range, and now you want to give back to some charitable institution. This is a way to use that appreciated value and get a big tax write-off without having to sell it and pay the capital gains on that. Please go to my website at www.agorist.taxadvice.com/TSP to get on my email list and get a weekly email with more tax advice. Look forward to hearing from you soon. Bye.